Okay, we are going to finish off our chapter on circles with the standard equation of a circle. It has an equation that looks pretty complicated. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. It looks difficult, but it's actually very easy to use. The h and the k is important. It's the center. Whatever number goes in the h and the k spot, that's where you would find the center. And then of course the r is just the radius of the circle. All right, let's do a few examples. Here we have a pretty long equation, x minus 5 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 25. Your job is to find the center of the circle and the radius. Well, the center is where the h and the k was. It's the 5 and the 3. Notice I'm using the positive 5 and the positive 3. And then the radius is the square root of that 25, which is just 5. All right, to graph it, it's fairly easy. You first graph the center, 5, 3 is right there. And then to graph the rest of the circle, notice the radius is 5. So from the center, you go 5 to the right, 5 to the left, 5 up, and 5 down. And you should get this circle. Here's another one. Let's try this one. We'll look for the center and the radius. The center is negative 12, negative 9. Notice these are negatives. It's basically the opposite numbers on the inside of the parentheses. And then the radius is just the square root of 100, which is just 10. And if you notice, negative 12 goes off of my graph just a little bit, so I won't graph it, but you will have to on your homework. Here's one more example. You have to figure out the center and the radius. Okay, take a second. There's the center, positive 7, negative 2. And the radius is actually square root of 7. Remember, we've been square rooting all of these. Square root of 25, square root of 100. So we have to square root the 7. To graph it, though, we kind of do need an approximation. Square root of 27 is approximately 2.6. So here's the center is at 7, negative 2. And then you're just going to approximate 2.6. So about 2.6 up, 2.6 to the right, 2.6 down, and then 2.6 to the left. And you should get a circle that looks kind of like this. That's a rough estimate. All right, last example. This one looks a little bit tricky. Your job is to find the center and the radius. The radius is pretty easy. The radius is just 6. But what do you do with the center when there's nothing there? All right, I'll give you a little hint. I'll write this in. X plus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 36. Okay, so the 0 just means you start at the origin. And then the radius is 6 all the way around. Up 6, down 6, left 6, right 6. Okay, what if you're asked to go backwards and they give you the center and they give you the radius and you have to find the equation? That shouldn't be too hard to do. You just have to copy the formula and fill in the appropriate spots. Fill in the 27 positive and the negative 32. And then remember the radius in the formula, you have to square it. So 25 times 25 is 625. All right, not too tricky at all. The next part of the homework, they're going to give you a little graph, and then you just have to find the center and the radius to write the equation. The center is right here. Looks like it's at -5, 6. And then the radius is just from here out. Looks like that's 3. And so if you can find the center and the radius, writing the equation is easy. +5 in here, -6 in here, and then take the radius and square it. Not too shabby. All right, this will be our last present of the day. This one does say tricky. You have to write the equation of the circle with the center -5, 3, but the radius is missing. But they do tell you that there's another point on the circle, and that will help in a little bit. Here we have the formula for the equation of a circle. Let's go ahead and plug in the center at the 5 and the -3. And then at this point, we have to figure out where to plug these points in. Remember, these are points on the circle, so they go in the X and the Y spot. This spot right here and right here. Then go ahead and plug it in. And then you just have to simplify your equation a little bit. Do parentheses first. Square the 3's, get 9. Add the 9's together to get 18. And then from here, you actually do not have to square root to get the radius, just because if you're going to plug it into the formula anyways, the formula is asking for r squared. So there is our answer. The center is what we knew, and then now we know the radius squared. Okay, that is all for today. Go ahead and start on your homework.